On this week's Political Figure episode, we've got the guy who 1000% at every single party he's ever attended latched on to the one single person who wasn't smart enough to avoid him when he walked in the door, and just opened with a vaguely racist, sexist, or homophobic joke before awkwardly slapping him on the shoulder just a little too hard and chuckling himself into a coughing fit because of all the McDonald's smothering his heart and lungs. The human woodtick, Billy Long. Billy Long is a boomer born August 1955 in Springfield, Missouri. He actually brags about being a fourth-generation Missouri native, which means that his family has had 4 generations to leave and haven't. Proving once and for all that stupidity is in fact, at least in part, genetic. He went to high school, I presume. I don't know, his Wikipedia page doesn't say shit about him growing up. And from everything I can tell so far, he's never done anything important enough with his life for me to spend the time and energy researching it to figure it out. But from the community notes I myself just made up, he was expelled 2 weeks before graduation for getting caught for the 3rd time having inappropriate relations with a goat behind the bleachers at the football field. However, they still gave him a diploma because he made D's in almost all of his remedial classes, and they really didn't want him coming back to repeat the year again. I'd tell somebody to fact check me, but apparently we don't do that anymore. And then he attended college at the University of Kathy Bates, Missouri, for like 5 days before dropping out. Again, I don't actually know how long it took him to drop out, but since we're working with 4th generation proud Missouri native, I'm gonna assume it wasn't that long. And he just didn't do anything, I guess, for like 3 years before going and taking a 9-day auctioneer training course and getting certified as an auctioneer, which that checks out. Then he did auctioneer stuff for a while, which is great. That was the career choice for him, and we really wish he would have stayed there. But you know, of course he didn't. And here's where I want to take a pause and say that one of the silver linings of this whole Trump presidency world that we're living in, the painful lack of qualifications in Trump's cabinet picks makes the research and writing and recording and editing that I have to do for these videos way easier. Because normally I'd still be talking about their educational and professional qualifications, maybe their military or volunteer service. But in this brave new political world where the only qualifications are who's best at blowing Hamburglar Benito, there's a lot less reading to do. Which is good because they're banning most of the books anyway. But it makes my job doing these videos easier. You know, it's the little wins, guys. And believe me, we need all of the little wins. Anyway, back to the show. In 2011, he's like, I'm gonna run for Congress now, despite being completely unqualified to do that. And the people of Missouri are like, well, are you racist, sexist, and homophobic? And he's like, yeah, very. Fucking what other qualifications do you need? We'll vote for you. Then while in Congress, he really did nothing of value aside from bitching about how much he hates taxes and gay people and women having rights and anybody having health care and the environment and poor people. In fact, if you wonder Billy's stance on a topic, just pick a topic, any topic at all. Then think about the biggest asshole you've ever met in your life. And then ask what stance would they have on this particular topic, and that there's Billy's stance, except probably even worse. Yeah, just looking through this guy's voting history, it's almost comical how insanely awful it is. He's voted against infrastructure spending for rural communities despite being a representative of one of the most ruralist states. He voted for gutting funding to public radio. He voted to extend roving wiretaps under the Patriot Act because fuck your right to privacy. He voted to ban Dreamers, you know, the immigrants who came here as children, from being allowed to serve in the military. He's voted against all voting rights. He basically always votes in favor of big business. He voted against condemning Islamophobia. He is a huge fan of genocide in the Middle East, very anti-Arab and anti-Palestinian. Literally every single way he votes and every stance he takes on every issue is just disgusting. This guy is so disgusting, he went as far as comparing the sexual assault allegations against Brett Kavanaugh to a kiss on the forehead. And you know that this motherfucker has definitely given some awkward and unwelcome, very heavy breathing kisses on the forehead. Just everything about this man makes you go, ugh. He's just genuinely one of the most gag-worthy humans in existence. Anyway, 2023, he leaves Congress and decides to go work as a salesman for this scammy tax consulting firm that tries to convince clients to apply for tax credits they're not actually eligible for and then they get fined for. The company takes a portion of the tax rebates that the clients get if they actually do get the tax rebate. Then in addition to doing that, he became a lobbyist that lobbied for tax reform that allowed companies like his to take more advantage of people. Then he tried working for himself for like a very short period of time, claiming that he was a certified tax and business consulting expert. And by certified, he means he has a certificate, you know, like the ones that they print out on a piece of computer paper when you graduate kindergarten. Yeah, he has one of those that he got from a 3-day training course from a tax consulting firm in Florida. Anyway, that wasn't working out for obvious reasons, so now he's gonna run the IRS. Yep, this is Trump's pick for IRS commissioner, and his big plan, if he could have the world his way, is we just scrap the IRS altogether and put a 30% sales tax on everything. Which I wish I could say was the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard, but we live in a world where it's not even close anymore, and that is That is sad. So that's where we are. A man with absolutely zero qualifications managing a business or an organization or a department or a team or people or his diet. A man with no college education, no accounting degrees or experience. A man who has no understanding of how budgets or tax policy actually works. A man who only knows how to use a calculator well enough to spell out the word boobs. Probably. A man who doesn't even believe the IRS should exist but wants you to pay 30% more on everything you buy so he can give himself and his buddies a tax break. That man is Apricot Adolph's pick to run the IRS. But don't worry, he has a 3-day certification that makes him a tax and business expert, so probably be fine.